Hi guys, we're at the Street Theatre tonight, having just watched Peter Cook's incredible performance of Breaking the Castle. This is the one-person play that you've just written. This was absolutely incredible. Bernie and I were sitting there afterwards just going, wow, that was such a fantastic show. A one-person show is tough. I don't know how many characters you play in the show. Have you counted how many characters you play?
Yeah, I think it's 17.
17.
It's around that, yeah.
And every single one is so distinct and interesting. Every one of them was interesting.
Well, you know, that's great feedback, especially after our first performance tonight. So that's good. And, you know, I guess we did a season last year, so I kind of got to know those characters back then. And we've had, 10 days rehearsal now. So it was just sort of a matter of slipping back into the way they moved and spoke. It's interesting how much of that just stayed in my body, you know what I mean? That I didn't have to find too much. I refined a few of them a little bit. So this is the first time I've done a remount of a show. So it's been interesting doing a remount, interesting doing a remount of my own show and a show where I play, 17 different people. So it's fun. It's absolutely, it's I know some of the things are very serious, but it's fun playing all those characters.
It's so immersive. I have to say, we were there with you the entire journey of this, and there's not a lot of shows I go to where I don't want it to end, because I'm just enjoying the storytelling so much. So really, really great job. Now it is serious subject matter because it is talking about drugs and the effects on people, family, and all of that, which is absolutely amazing. Where did that come from?
Yeah, so look, the story is based on my experiences. It's informed by my life. Everything you see on stage isn't a complete, sort of replication of my life, of course. It's dramatised and that's what theatre's about. But look, I've had enough experience with mental health and with addiction and things like that to, I guess, understand, the causes of people with addiction. And I did live in King's Cross for a long time, so I got to meet a whole bunch of people, and just through my own experiences and where I've been and who I've talked to, you start to see that these people are stigmatised, but people just walk past on the street and call someone an addict or homeless or this or that and just label them without going, I wonder what that person's story is, and so I think it's really important that this show shows a guy like Dave who, from the outside looking in, life's okay, but he's struggling internally, and because he couldn't reach out to anyone, he just goes on this downward spiral. Yeah. That's actually, he finds out in rehab and in counselling has been spawned by these traumatic events in his childhood that were never kind of validated by anyone, sort of growing up. So I think that's a lot of people's stories, I don't think it's, unique to me or Dave, the character. I think so many people have stories like this, and I think it's important in this country that we recognise trauma, our personal trauma, but our collective trauma as well, and, especially, the trauma of our First Nations people, and that we start to actually pay close attention to that and understand what that is, because I think if we can start to open up and listen to each other and become more vulnerable, we can start to heal each other and heal as a country.
I think it's a fabulous message, and I think absolutely everyone can identify at some level, because none of us are unscathed in life. We've all had moments where things have been difficult for us, or things that have traumatised us in certain ways, and trauma's at different levels. Like it's not. We think trauma, and we think, as you mentioned in the play, war, people, soldiers coming back, and that's what trauma is. But it's not. It's so many other little things.
Trauma can be anything that's affected you at your childhood. That's kind of, or even as an adult, that caused you to have a response where you're triggered, and life can sort of implode on you. And we need to be able to talk about it and use the word like it's just like you say. Everyone has it, and you might look at someone else's trauma and go, well, my life was this or that, but their trauma is real for them. They feel what they feel, and you can't discount those feelings, no matter where they come from. If they're the richest person, in Bondi, or they're on the street in the Cross,
yep.
We all have things to deal with. And I think, that's why I talk about vulnerability and healing, because if we can all just start to be real with each other and have these conversations, the one thing we have in common is that we're human.
Yes.
And this trauma kind of affects us all, and it's great that you kind of you pick that up, because it is an important word and an important subject for us to start talking about. So, and I'm open now and telling my story because you know, if by me opening up and telling my story can help someone else heal, then, you know, it's not a bad day. Yeah.
And this is what I think the power of theatre is. I mean, I love theatre. I've been involved in theatre over 15 years now. I've got my own theatre company, so I love storytelling. But it's a way of reaching people that's really real. That because you're right there in front of them, and you get pretty close. This was a really intimate show.
Yeah.
And so we're right there with you as you're experiencing all of that, and that's just so powerful.
Yeah, I mean, it's great that it's so intimate and the audience is right there. And, you know, tonight, you know, even in our first show, I felt sort of more courageous than I did last year with talking and interacting with the audience and just sort of having that feedback. Because last year, you know, it was the first time I'd ever written anything and there was just a whole bunch of stuff going on, especially early in the season. So that was good tonight. And yeah, I mean, it is great. It's intimate and it's raw. And, you know, someone in the foyer just said, God, I just felt every moment of that, you know. So it is meant to be in your face. It is meant to be hard-hitting. It is meant to make you feel something. I don't want people coming to my show and going home and making a cup of tea and thinking about something else. I want them to think about the show for a long time afterward. You know, I want them to walk down the street and maybe sort of stop themselves mid-thought before they judge an addict or someone who's a bit more unfortunate than them, you know. So that's the kind of point of it. And the only way to get that is to make people feel something. And I think the show, you know, for the most part does it.
Oh, I think you did. Absolutely. Look, guys, I can't recommend this show enough. I think it's absolutely brilliant. Really well written, wonderfully performed. It's to be touring out of Canberra very shortly, so you're going to Albury, is that right?
Yeah, so we go to the Hot House. We open at the Hot House on July 6th, and then we play Riverside Parramatta in November, late November. I don't know the dates off the top of my head, but yeah.
It's okay, but look out for it, guys. Make sure you're on the Stage Centre app so you can find this show. It's called Breaking the Castle. This is the script here, which I'm going to have a read through again tonight because it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much, Peter. Thank you so much for the work and what you've done here. All the best with the tour.
Thank you.
Make sure, guys, don't miss this. It's going to be fantastic. Bye for now.